There are two kinds of men in this world. The first one is running. He's chasing, climbing, always a little out of breath. His phone never stops buzzing. Every deal, every post, every win feels like a small victory. But at night, when the screen goes dark, he feels something missing, like the game he's winning isn't even his. The second man looks different. He's not running. He doesn't fight to be seen. He doesn't post his progress. He moves quietly, as if the noise around him no longer has a claim on his attention. People call him lazy, detached, even foolish. But somehow, he keeps building something real, something that lasts. Now the question is, who's truly stronger? The man who wins the race or the man who refuses to run? Modern culture worships competition. From school to business, from social media to relationships, we're taught that progress means outperforming someone else. But what if that belief, the very fuel that drives the modern man, is also the reason he feels trapped? Lao Tzu saw this 2,500 years ago. He said, "He who does not compete cannot be defeated." But he didn't mean you should withdraw from life. He meant that once you stop playing by someone else's rules, no one can use those rules to control you. That's the paradox. We think victory gives us power, but the more we chase it, the more we serve the system that defines it. Every win that's measured by others makes us more predictable, more dependent, more owned. Refusal, on the other hand, is a different kind of strength. It's not surrender, it's strategy. Because the last leverage any man has is the ability to walk away. Competition was once a test of skill. It showed who could build better, think faster, act smarter. But in the modern world, it's no longer about mastery. It's about signaling. Every like, every promotion, every milestone has become a form of proof. Proof that you're still relevant, still working, still winning. And so we keep proving. We spend money to show success. We buy time we don't have. We compete not because we love the game, but because we fear what happens if we stop playing. They don't have to force you to compete. They just have to make you afraid of being invisible. That's how the system keeps you running. The attention economy is built on comparison. Every scroll, every post, every new achievement from someone else pulls you back into the loop. The quiet pressure that says you're falling behind. In corporations, they call it performance. In social life, they call it relevance. But at the core, it's the same machine. An endless race that keeps the finish line moving. You win today, only to discover a new leaderboard tomorrow. And if you stop, you're forgotten. Even identity has become a contest. We compete not just in what we do, but in who we are. Titles, roles, labels, father, executive, founder, alpha. The more we cling to these names, the more we have to defend them. And the moment they're threatened, our sense of self collapses. A man with too many labels becomes easy to control, because all someone has to do is threaten the image, and you'll do anything to protect it. Lao Tzu would call that the highest form of weakness. The illusion of strength that depends on constant approval. Modern competition doesn't make men strong. It makes them exhausted. It teaches you to trade peace for validation, time for applause, and silence for noise. And the cruelest part, the moment you stop chasing, the world tells you you're failing, when in fact, that might be the first moment you're finally free. Lao Tzu lived in a time of chaos and contest. Warlords rose and fell. Kings hired champions. In that noise, he heard the same pattern we hear today. The more a society prizes display and victory, the more people bind their worth to performance. He saw men exhausted by their need to prove, and he offered a different measure of power. When he wrote, "He who does not compete cannot be defeated," he was not offering a moral nicety or an invitation to laziness. He was handing down a tactical manual. Refusal, in his view, is an instrument of control. If you refuse to accept another man's terms, the terms lose their force over you. If you stop playing on someone else's field, their tactics no longer hit home. This idea splits into 3 practical pillars. Change the rules. Move like water. Remain uncarved. Together they form a method. The first pillar is refusal as rule change. When an adversary defines the contest, they also define the criteria for victory. The moment you accept that frame, you accept their agenda. To refuse is to deny them the ability to measure you. If they cannot measure you, they cannot manipulate you. That is not cynicism, it is clarity. Think of a manager who demands a vanity metric, surface-level growth, short-term spikes that look good on charts, but hollow out the business. A man who refuses to chase that metric does not retreat. He sets a different standard. He reframes success in terms that sustain. In practical terms, refusal looks like saying, I won't optimize for this vanity metric. I will optimize for retention and unit economics. It is a strategic refusal that changes the negotiation. The second pillar is water as method. Lao Tzu points to water because water wins without striking. It moves where there is room. It exploits gravity and patience. It does not exhaust itself, but it outlasts hardness. For a modern man, water means timing and endurance. It means accepting that immediate victory is not your only option. It means building systems that compound quietly while everyone else chases the bright, fast reward. In business, this plays out in product depth versus marketing flash. In relationships, it shows up as steadiness instead of grand gestures. In conversation, it is the man who listens until his opponent's argument reveals its own contradictions, then responds with a single decisive point. Water tactics are boring to the crowd, but lethal over time. They let you convert small, repeated advantages into unassailable position. The third pillar is the uncarved block, or PU. Lao Tzu loved this image because it captures a kind of freedom we routinely sacrifice. An object is useful because of its empty space. A cup is valuable because it is hollow. A man who remains uncarved resists being sculpted into an identity he must maintain. When you refuse to accept a label, you remove one of the most effective levers others use to control behavior. Today, identities are sold and rented. Titles, follower counts, job descriptions, and curated family images form a public persona. That persona requires upkeep. It needs proof. It needs performance. The minute you stop feeding it, the person who is invested in your performance loses leverage. Practical application is simple. Stop broadcasting small wins as signals. Keep some outcomes private. Let your work do the speaking. If they cannot name you, they cannot predict you. And if they cannot predict you, they cannot manipulate you. Put these pillars together and the result is precise. Refusal removes the opponent's yardstick. Water tactics preserve your energy and allow time to do the work that force cannot. Remaining uncarved prevents the world from buying or renting pieces of your identity. That combination creates a position where your choices do not have to be defended. You do not react to every insult, every KPI change, every trending challenge. You respond with intent. This is the strategy of the master, not the monk. The wise man does not avoid life. He informs it. He uses discretion as armor. He moves invisibly until he acts visibly, and when he does act, his action carries consequences because it is not driven by desperation. It is driven by condition, by preparation, by absence of need. Lao Tzu's refusal strategy is a direct rebuttal to modern imperatives. When others demand you prove yourself, refuse the premise. When the crowd measures with a shallow ruler, choose a different gauge. When your role threatens to own you, uncarve the edges that make you saleable and keep the core unshaped. Follow those 3 moves and you will find what Lao Tzu promised isn't mystical detachment, it is tactical advantage. Refuse their rules. Flow like water. Stay uncarved. In that posture, you are not powerless. You are unreadable. You are free. The wisdom of Lao Tzu sounds calm, almost soft, but behind that softness is a sharp logic. Refusing to compete is not a moral statement. It is a strategic mechanism, a process that turns restraint into strength. The first stage is removing your point of attack. Every man who defines himself through external measures exposes his weak side. If you live by applause, silence kills you. If you live by position, loss destroys you. But when you detach from the measurement, you remove the handle others use to move you. A man who no longer depends on external validation cannot be threatened with its withdrawal. That is the first transformation, from visible target to invisible mover. The second stage is conserving energy. Constant competition drains attention. It turns every day into reaction, every thought into defense. But Lao Tzu understood that power depends on stored potential, not constant exertion. The archer who never stops pulling the string eventually breaks the bow. The wise let go. They rest, observe, and move when the moment yields advantage. To stop reacting is not passivity. It is the discipline of focus. It's what allows one act, done deliberately, to outperform 100 frantic moves. The third stage is creating optionality, the space to choose. When you are no longer forced to prove your worth in someone else's arena, you begin to see new arenas. You start building leverage quietly, skills, savings, alliances, clarity. These become options, and options are freedom. The man who can walk away does not need to dominate. He already holds the upper hand because he controls his participation. The fourth stage is societal. When enough individuals withdraw their energy from a toxic contest, the contest itself collapses. Markets adjust, hierarchies shift, norms decay. The system feeds on compliance. Refusal starves it. Every man who says no to hollow incentives weakens their power. The Tao spreads not by force, but by absence. In that absence, old rules lose meaning. That is the full circle of Lao Tzu's logic. Detachment removes vulnerability. Stillness conserves strength. Independence creates options. And collective restraint rewrites the game. Refusal is not stagnation. It is transformation. Modern men mistake visibility for influence. Lao Tzu knew the reverse, that the unseen hand moves everything because it's never caught reacting. When you stop proving, you start observing. When you stop reacting, you start directing. And that subtle shift from reaction to direction is where true authority begins. Power in the Tao is not domination, it is alignment. The man who no longer fights the current becomes the current. He moves without strain because the world bends around those who no longer resist it. Lao Tzu's principles might sound distant, but the pattern appears in every age. Those who master restraint often reshape the world more than those who rush to conquer it. Take Sun Tzu. He lived not long after Lao Tzu and carried the same current of thought into war. To subdue the enemy without fighting, he wrote, is the acme of skill. In his campaigns, victory was not about crushing strength with strength, but forcing the opponent into exhaustion, confusion, or retreat. The best generals never enter battles they don't need to fight. They make the enemy's aggression irrelevant. That is Taoist strategy translated into warfare. The art of refusal turned into the science of victory. Centuries later, the same idea reappeared in a man whose battlefield was not an empire, but his own craft. Bruce Lee. He studied both Taoism and Sun Tzu and built his fighting philosophy on them. Be water, my friend, he said. Empty your mind. Flow. For him, adaptability was not passive surrender. It was an offensive tactic. When an opponent tensed, Bruce softened. When the opponent overextended, Bruce struck. He won not by meeting force with force, but by letting force collapse under its own weight. He understood what Lao Tzu taught, that flexibility is not weakness, but precision under control. In our own age, the same principle quietly defines who survives the longest in business. There are founders who refuse to compete in the race for growth at any cost. While others burn capital to appear dominant, they build products that outlast hype. They choose margin over spotlight, patience over publicity. When the market turns, they remain standing while the loudest names vanish. Their refusal was not caution. It was strategy disguised as humility. Every master we admire, from generals to artists to builders, learned the same rule. You don't need to fight every battle to win the war. Sometimes the act of not engaging rewires the field itself. It confuses the aggressive, protects the prepared, and grants time to those who understand value beyond applause. In the end, the pattern is clear. The world remembers those who walked their own path longer than those who sprinted in someone else's race. Lao Tzu never told men to disappear from the world. He told them to move through it differently. Wisdom only matters when it becomes a method, when philosophy turns into practice. Refusing to compete is not withdrawal. It is the art of reshaping every field you step into. There are 4 disciplines that carry the Tao into daily life. The first 2 turn Lao Tzu's insight into clear movement: the art of changing the rules and the art of moving like water. The first is rule change. Every system, from your workplace to your social circle, runs on invisible metrics. These are the rules that decide who wins, and most people never question them. They compete for recognition, numbers, and noise, because they think those are the only ways to measure value. But the wise man knows the most powerful way to win a rigged game is to stop playing by its rules. Imagine a manager who rewards volume over quality. Most employees race to produce more, faster, cheaper, until the work becomes hollow. Then one person quietly shifts focus. He spends more time refining, less time chasing. He produces less, but what he produces lasts. At first, he's ignored. Later, he becomes indispensable. Why? Because he redefined what winning means. That is the spirit of rule change. You can't always control the field, but you can control the metric that matters to you. In practical terms, this looks like saying, I'm not chasing promotion, I'm building skill. Or, I'm not competing for likes, I'm building trust. When you set the terms, others either adapt or lose interest. In both cases, you win because your energy stays yours. The second discipline is water tactics. Lao Tzu wrote, "Nothing is softer than water, yet nothing can resist it." Water doesn't struggle to dominate. It finds the opening and moves through it. It teaches that persistence and adaptability always outlast aggression. Most men waste years fighting battles they could have flowed around. In business, they attack competitors head-on instead of outlasting them. In conversation, they argue to prove they're right instead of waiting for the other side to overextend. In life, they chase quick wins instead of letting time mature what they're building. Water is the discipline of timing. It demands patience when others rush. It demands observation before movement. But when it moves with purpose. The man who learns to wait does not lose momentum. He gains control. Think of a negotiation. The loud man fills the room with words, trying to assert dominance. The quiet man listens. He studies tone, pace, silence. When he finally speaks, every word lands like a stone dropped in still water. That silence before the answer is not hesitation, it is precision. To live by water tactics is to understand that progress is not always visible. You don't always need to push harder. Sometimes you need to let gravity do the work. You hold your ground, let others burn their fuel, and when the current shifts, you move with minimal resistance but maximum effect. In a world that rewards noise, patience is rebellion. To master timing is to reclaim your pace, and once you own your pace, no one else can rush you. The third discipline is what Lao Tzu called the uncarved defense. He compared the wise man to an uncarved block of wood, simple, untouched, undefined. The more a thing is carved, the more predictable it becomes. Every title, every label, every public declaration adds another line to the sculpture, another handle for others to grab. To remain uncarved is to stay unreadable. In modern life, exposure is often mistaken for authenticity. We are told to build a personal brand, to show the process, to be transparent. But transparency without control is vulnerability disguised as virtue. The more you share, the more others can use your image to define your value. And once your worth is defined by attention, you no longer own it. Remaining uncarved doesn't mean hiding. It means choosing what to reveal and when. The man who shares selectively is not secretive. He's strategic. He reveals the product, not the process. The results, not the raw emotion. He knows that power often lies in the unseen. Imagine a craftsman. He doesn't explain every cut of the blade. He lets the finished work speak for him. People call him mysterious. But that mystery is leverage. It protects his process from interference. It shields his time, his mind, and his dignity from consumption. Lao Tzu wrote, "Know others and you are clever. Know yourself and you are enlightened." To know yourself, you must first stop performing for others. The uncarved man isn't empty, he's whole. He is full of potential that no one else can name, sell, or replicate. The fourth discipline is silent pressure. In the Tao, silence is not the absence of sound. It is the presence of control. Lao Tzu understood that noise is how the weak try to appear strong. The wise man does not need to announce his position. He lets tension do the talking. In argument, silence unsettles. In negotiation, it shifts balance. The man who can hold silence controls the frame, because people rush to fill it with words that reveal their intent. That moment of stillness, that deliberate pause, is not emptiness, it's influence. Picture a meeting. One side talks endlessly, eager to persuade. The other listens, nods, and says nothing. Eventually, the talkers start explaining too much. They expose the cracks in their case. Then the quiet man speaks. One sentence, one decision, and ends the discussion. That's not luck. That's trained silence. Lao Tzu wrote, "Those who know do not speak. Those who speak do not know." But in a world of constant commentary, true silence feels louder than words. When you refuse to join the noise, you become the signal people can't ignore. Silent pressure is the final stage of non-competition. You do not argue. You do not fight. You let gravity, timing, and composure speak for you. Power doesn't always need an announcement. Sometimes it needs only a pause. And that pause, that calm, unflinching space, is where control begins. You might be wondering what happens if everyone stops competing. Wouldn't progress die? Wouldn't society collapse? Lao Tzu would say no. Progress built on ego isn't progress. It's movement without direction. The point isn't to eliminate effort, but to purify it, to act without the poison of comparison. A man who stops competing blindly doesn't stop growing. He simply chooses growth that serves something real. Others will say only the privileged can afford to walk away. But privilege isn't what gives freedom. Discipline does. Turning off one notification, saying no to one meaningless race, declining one hollow opportunity, those are choices anyone can make. They don't cost power, they create it. Some will argue competition makes men strong. But look closely, it often makes men brittle. They push until they break, chasing the approval that never lasts. Real strength isn't forged in noise. It's built in restraint. It's the ability to move without needing to prove. So here's the invitation. Not a 7-day challenge, not a slogan, a simple experiment. For the next 72 hours, pick one tactic from Lao Tzu's 4 disciplines. Change one rule. Flow around one obstacle. Keep one part of yourself uncarved. Or stay silent when you'd normally react. Notice what happens. Notice who loses power when you stop giving it away. Because that's the essence of the Tao. Subtle, quiet, but undeniable. He who refuses their rules forces them to rewrite the game. That is the Tao of real power. And when the crowd starts running again, you won't need to follow. You'll already be moving in a direction no one else can see. If this made you see the world a little clearer, stay, think deeper. This is ThinkMate.